a bipartisan bill to fix our broken immigration system. And I have to say, please give Tolu another round of applause. It takes a lot of courage to do what Tolu did, to step out of the shadows, to share her story, and to hope that despite the risks, she could make a difference. But Tolu, I think, is representative of so many dreamers out there who have worked so hard, and I've had a chance to meet so many of them who've been willing to give a face to the undocumented and have inspired a movement across America. And with each step, they've reminded us, time and again, what this debate is all about. This is not an abstract debate. This is about incredible young people who understand themselves to be Americans, who have done everything right, but have still been hampered in achieving their American dream. And they remind us that we're a nation of immigrants. Throughout our history, the promise we found in those who come from every corner of the globe has always been one of our greatest strengths. It's kept our workforce vibrant and dynamic. It's kept our businesses on the cutting edge. It's helped build the greatest economic engine that the world has ever known. When I speak to other world leaders, one of the biggest advantages we have economically is our demographics. We're constantly replenishing ourselves with talent from all across the globe. No other country can match that history. And what was true years ago is still true today. Who's beeping over there?
We put on a path to legal permanent residence and then the citizenship. 11 million, all of whom entered the country illegally and are here in violation of the law. What's not mentioned is that there's another 4.5 million that's in they call it a backlog status. They're basically chain migration members, family members who want to come, but under our current law, you have a cap, a limit on how many family members are allowed to enter each year, and as a result, the backlog, they call it, is moved up to 4.5 million. So now we have people say this. They've been saying, well, you shouldn't give the 11 million here illegally advantage over people that have been waiting in line. That was a problem for the Gang of Eight. And I can just see them sitting around dealing with that. How can we give somebody who was here waiting in line patiently and lawfully a status behind that of somebody who's been here working in the country with false documents illegally? That wouldn't be right. So how do they solve that? Like Washington does. They just legalize them too. They didn't want anybody to say the 4.5 that's here waiting in place. They could keep, so they just let them come in too. So really, we'll be initially processing 15 million people. And then, well, what about the annual future flow? Now it's the most generous flow in the world. We admit 1 million people, a little over 1 million people a year under our legal flow into the country. What about that? In light of all this accelerated admissions and legal status, what's going to, should we reduce the number of people that are coming here each year lawfully now for a while? Oh no, that's increased. 50% according to the Los Angeles Times. It could be more. I'll accept that number. So that's, instead of 1 million a year, that's 1.5 million. Over 10 years, that's 15 million. So that results in 30 million people in 10 years being given lawful permanent status in America. Lawful permanent status in America.
So immigration isn't just part of our national character, it is a driving force in our economy that creates jobs and prosperity for all of our citizens. Now here's the thing, over the past 2 decades, our immigration system hasn't kept pace with changing times and hasn't matched up with our most cherished values.
We're very happy about that. We'll see what happens tonight. But imagine for a second if there was now the hottest basketball player in the country, played at some college in the United States, 6'10", never misses a shot, just an unbelievable player. Do you think in your wildest dreams that we would ever let that person go play in Italy or Spain or some other country? There is no way in the world that we are going to allow the best basketball player in the world, no matter where they're born from, no matter where they came from, no matter their immigration status, there is no way in the world that we're going to let a future NBA star leave the United States and go play basketball in some other country, in a European league or the Greek league or whatever. They're going to stay here. And so my question to you is, if that's how we approach sports, which is important, I guess, but it's a game, shouldn't that be the way we approach our economy? Should we be deporting the best graduates of some of our universities, world-class physicists and scientists and people in technology and engineering and math? And yet that's the way functionally our immigration system works right now. And I'm not making this up. We've heard the testimony. We have heard the people that come into our offices. There isn't a member in this office who hasn't had a meeting in their office, or their staff hasn't, with someone from the tech community that will come to you and say, we are going to college campuses, we are making job offers to the best and brightest, and we can't keep them here, not because they don't want to stay here, not because they're not qualified, not because we don't have a job opening, but because we can't get them a green card or a legal status.
The system's still broken. And to truly deal with this issue, Congress needs to act. And that moment is now. This week, the Senate will consider a common sense, bipartisan bill that is the best chance we've had in years to fix our broken immigration system. It will build on what we've done and continue to strengthen our borders. It will make sure that businesses and workers are all playing by the same set of rules. And it includes tough penalties for those who don't.
They'll be given that status. And we've not discussed that. So I asked Senator Schumer at the committee twice, how many will be admitted under your bill? He refused to answer. I'm not sure they know, because these numbers aren't all the numbers. There's an additional group of people who will come under the chain migration theory, the family-based connections, and other special provisions in here that have no caps, no limit on how many would come. So he refused to answer it. The sponsors that are producing legislation for us today will not say, amazingly, how many people they expect to enter into our country if their bill passes.
Now, over the past 4 years, we've tried to patch up some of the worst cracks in the system. We made border security a top priority. Today, we have twice as many Border Patrol agents as we did in 2004. We have more boots on the ground along our southern border than at any time in our history. And in part by using technology more effectively, illegal crossings are near their lowest level in decades.
Who's going to take care of them? We know this. We know that if people don't have a job, the government has transfer payments, food stamps, Medicaid for your health care, housing allowances, and other benefits. So is that how the taxpayers now have got to have even more people subsidized by the government because they honestly can't find a job? There's not enough out there. And so my colleagues need to focus on this. And there's been almost no serious discussion about it, other than what we hear from certain squeaky-wheel special interests. But how many of our colleagues know the difference between the H-1B visa, the H-1B1 visa, the H-2A visa, the H-2B visa, and the H-4 visa? And how many will come in under each one of them? And what standards will they use? And do you actually have to make sure you've advertised and offered a job to an American first before you use this visa? And those are just the H visas. What about the W-1 visa? The W-2 visa? And the W-3 visa? And you also have the E3 visa, the E4 visa, and the E5 visa. and you've got the X visa and the Y visa, and it goes on and on.
The notion that somehow those who came through Ellis Island had all their papers right. You know, had checked every box. And
we've got this thing in place until you guarantee the border is secure. The legalization doesn't happen. And as we've demonstrated already, that's absolutely ineffective. So Mr. Nunez goes on to say, this is an illusion meant to fool the public into believing that amnesty will only take place after the border is secure. Nothing could be further from the truth, because on day one, every one of the 11 million illegal aliens will be eligible for a temporary document allowing them to stay and work in the United States. Their two most important goals, close quote.
To make sure we continue to be a nation of laws and a nation of immigrants. Do the right thing.
So outspoken about this, he's testified before the House. He's had press conferences here that I participated with him. He's warned that this will make America less secure, not more secure. He warns that it makes the ability of the ICE agents already handicapped even more problematic. He says that the bill gives to the Secretary, essentially, he says, more discretion to violate the law than they're using today. And in fact, the orders and directives and policies they're giving to the street of officers, the ICE officers, about how to do their job are currently in direct violation of the law. This bill ratifies that by explicitly giving statutory authority to the Secretary to make all kinds of waivers for other matters. That's not a way to give confidence to America.